Hey everybody, we're back live on Marvel Live. I am Ben Morris, Associate Editor of Marvel.com, and joining us now is Jason Aaron, writer of X-Men Schism, coming up Wolverine the X-Men, currently Wolverine, coming up Incredible Hulk, also Punisher Max. I see in your eyes, you're like, is he gonna get it? Yeah.
I should probably be home working right now.
Or stop writing so many books, but we'd suffer then. So yeah, you should, work tonight from your hotel.
Oh, that's not gonna happen.
That's not gonna happen? Well, welcome, man. Thanks for joining us. Just a reminder to you guys, if you have any questions for Jason, you can tweet us at Marvel or at Agent_M. Use the hashtag MarvelLive, and we will pass your questions right along. But Jason, X-Men Schism just ended.
Right.
It was 5 months in the making, but really it was a lot longer than that in the making. It was the story of Cyclops and Wolverine.
Years in the making.
Yeah.
Literally, yeah.
What would you say at the heart of the story was the fundamental divide that ultimately split Cyclops and Wolverine? It's going to set up this new era.
Well, I think it was just the direction of the future, of what direction our mutants headed in. Mm-hmm. And I think Scott has since the House of M has been on that war footing, that we are at war, we are under siege. Even once Hope came back and things looked a little brighter, he never really stepped away from that. And Logan has always, in some sense, I think, been more of an idealist. He's more of a romantic, even though he hides it a lot. He's the rougher guy, but I think he's always thought, things can be better for this generation of people, not for me. Like, he understands, like, I'm doomed, like, I'm the guy who's spent his whole life stabbing things.
Yeah.
So.
But that motivates him even more.
Right, and he feels like, well, if things aren't going to get better for the youngest generation of mutants, then why are we even doing this? What's the point? So I think that's what it all came down to. I mean, I think we saw that play out in very real events, right in front of everybody over the pages of Schism. Then of course once things came to a head, you can stick a little Jean Grey reference in there. It just reminds you, like, these guys have always had a rough relationship.
Yeah. We actually just got a tweet from Gary Sisbu, who said Schism was a great idea for X-Men, and then of course followed up with please bring back Jean Grey, which we get a lot of. And as an X-Men writer now, you're going to have to learn to kind of, hear that a lot.
Right. Well, I mean, we have the Jean Grey School of Higher Learning now.
The way you are bringing her back.
Right. In some sense,
spirit.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's an interesting thing for me is that, we do have Wolverine and the X-Men's coming out, I believe, next week.
Yeah.
Not next week, soon after.
Sometime this month.
You and Chris Pachalo. And Wolverine, like you said, kind of romantic, kind of looking towards the future, stuff like that, but he's in a very new role as a teacher.
Sure,
he's never really been an instructor. He's mentored a lot of younger mutants, but this is a new thing for him.
Right, yeah. I mean, this is, in the past we may have seen Wolverine teaching, how to fix an engine on a car or how to beat people up. But now he's wearing a suit and tie, and he's got
I love that.
He's got an office with a desk in it and like his name on the door. And so it's, as a writer, it's great. You get to put a character like Wolverine, who's been through a lot over the years. I've put him through a lot. But you get to put him in a position he's never been in a place he's very, very uncomfortable, and to watch him struggle with that. I mean, he's still Wolverine. He's still going to pop his claws and stab people, but it's fun to watch him try to keep the school, from blowing up in his face. I mean, he made the bold choice to come here and bring all these people with him. Now he's got to deliver on that promise and actually make this work, and it's certainly not going to be easy.
Now, we had X-Men Regenesis, the one-shot by Terry Gilliam came out this past week, so we kind of started seeing where other people are going to fall. So you've kind of got your lineup set up for Wolverine the X-Men #1.
Right.
Can you kind of run down who's going to be featured in the book, who you're going to be using?
Sure. I mean, I think most of the characters have been revealed now. Yeah. Wolverine's obviously the headmaster of the school. Kitty Pryde is the headmistress.
Yeah.
Beast is sort of the vice principal, and he's the guy who built and designed the school. He's really the only one who knows how to turn anything on or keep it running. Iceman is part of the senior staff.
Yeah. And I cheated and read Wolverine the X-Men #1, and I love kind of the role, even without spoiling anything, the role you have for Iceman. One of the things they actually utilize is some real-world training he has that people don't often touch on.
He's a CPA,
yeah. Exactly. He's a certified public accountant.
He's got to be the only CPA in the X-Men.
I believe so, yeah.
So you're starting a new school, you need a numbers guy, right?
Yeah.
But he'll certainly have a bigger role than just that. Like he
won't just be sitting in the office crunching numbers the whole time.
Iceman,
we need ice.
Iceman Accountant is like a spin-off series we're going to do from that. That's the senior staff. Rachel Summers will be a part of that in a big way. I like playing with her. Husk.
Yeah.
I mean, with Chris Bachalo drawing the book, he wanted to have a Generation X character in there, so Husk is going to be a big part. It's a bit of a new take on her. Their surprises, like Toad is the janitor at the school, which is not just a joke. Like, there's a real story for Toad that I'm trying to tell. Then we've got a cast of kids like Quentin Quire and Heidi and some of the new X-Men kids, and plus a couple of brand new characters. There's a young Brood character who is one of the students. It's kind of like, when Worf was on the bridge of the Enterprise and Next Generation. It's like we're bringing a sympathetic Brood character.
The guy at the corner of your eye, but he's actually
right. There's a couple of new Shi'ar characters that have ties to some of the Shi'ar characters from X-Men past. So, and then there's still a couple more surprises that'll pop up in issue 4. So it's a big cast, but it's a diverse, fun cast.
We actually had Levi P. Tompkins on Twitter just asked a couple questions. He wanted to know if he mentioned that in the Regenesis one-shot, he mentioned that Chamber was on Wolverine's side. And then also asked about two of his favorite students, Rockside and Anoli, and asked if they're going to be in the Wolverine book.
Yeah, I love Rockslide and Anoli. They're not going to be main characters.
Sure.
This book has a huge cast.
Yeah, it's a lot to juggle.
Right, and I'm trying to focus on a main group of staff members and a main group of students. We'll go back and forth. We'll see different mixtures of those. But Rockslide and Anoli will certainly be popping up there. They're both in the first issue. And in terms of Chamber, he's the guy who's come over to Wolverine's side. He'll be in Westchester. I have no plans for him in Wolverine the X-Men right now, but X-Men Legacy is a book that'll be focusing on some of those same characters. So a lot of the characters that have come over with Wolverine will be popping up there too.
Right. How is that? It's a bigger thing you're doing. It's not just one book you're writing. You're writing Wolverine the X-Men, but you're also part of this bigger brain trust that goes beyond you and Kieran. You got Christos Gage, you got Peter David with X Factor, a lot of which you're coordinating. Are you working more with the guys on the Wolverine side? Are you working with everybody?
Yeah, I think we should do separate X retreats now, right? We should not associate. I've avoided Kieran Gillen all weekend. Yeah. I feel like we can't be friends anymore, right? No, we have a big X retreat a couple times a year. Usually, we all get together and talk about all this kind of stuff. The last one we did was where we divvied up the pieces of the pie, where we had like a character draft, and we all fought over our own.
That's something you want to do as a kid, and now you can actually do it.
Right. it's wild when you get to I get to pick my team of X-Men. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. So we all work that kind of stuff out together. It all goes through Nick Lowe.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's no way to get around Nick Lowe. It has to go through him.
The most precocious 18-year-old editor in the world.
No, we love Nick. I love Nick in the X universe. He's awesome.
Relaunching Incredible Hulk coming out of Fear Itself. Now there's a prologue in Fear Itself number 7, which is out this week, which kind of tells a little bit more. But in the general sense, how is this Incredible Hulk series, kind of different tone from a lot of what we've seen in the last few years?
Well, I love the stuff that Greg Pak has done the last few years. He told all different kinds of Hulk stories and took it to all sorts of new places, but I just wanted to kind of bring things back to focusing in on that Hulk and Banner dynamic. That's what has driven Hulk stories for decades. So I wanted to focus in on that, but with a twist. So this is we've always seen Banner and Hulk kind of at each other's throats, inside fighting for the control of the same body. Now they've been split apart. They've gone their separate ways. Of course, they start to get pulled back together, and we see them butting heads, quite literally in the Marvel universe in a huge way for the first time ever. So it's focusing in on those two guys, but just with a twist to it.
Now you've gotten one of the cool elements of X-Men Schism is you got to work with some great artists, from Alan Davis to Adam Kubert to Daniel Pini. You're working with Chris Bachalo on Wolverine X-Men. On Incredible Hulk, you're working with Mark Silvestri, who is an industry legend and also a guy who hasn't done a regular series at Marvel in decades.
Right.
What's the working relationship like there? When you're working with the guy who's
awesome.
so much.
I've just been incredibly spoiled. I think the guys I've gotten to work with. Mark has been great. The first few issues of Hulk are jam-packed with all sorts of crazy underground monsters and new hulked-out creatures and all sorts of craziness that I just threw on the page and then rely on somebody like Mark to actually draw it and pull it off, and it's awesome. I knew from the first 3 pages of that first issue of Hulk that it was something special. It just looks absolutely gorgeous.
Now is Hulk kind of, Hulk's one of those characters who periodically he very much is left alone off on his own, doing his own thing. And sometimes he's very integrated in the Marvel Universe. He just played a major role in Fear itself.
Right.
He is in the Avengers movie next year.
There's an Avengers movie next year?
There is
Really?
there is an Avengers movie coming up next year.
I wasn't familiar with that.
Yeah, they should probably tell you about this.
They should. I didn't
They
get that
should
memo.
you on board.
Yeah.
You should be out there.
I should be on the internet more often, so I miss these things.
I don't know. That's never a good idea. But yeah, I mean, Hulk's been in the Marvel Universe a lot recently, and certainly we may see him coming up. But in your series, are you going to be focusing on really the Hulk and Banner to start, or is he going to be integrated in the Marvel Universe?
Yeah, I would say the first couple arcs on the book are very much focusing in on these two characters. We don't see a lot of the other Hulks. We don't see a lot of other Marvel U crossover. It's kind of some new supporting characters. So just trying to do a clean entry point for anybody who's interested in jumping into the Hulk. Now going forward, certainly when we come into next year, like you said, Hulk's a big part of the Avengers movies. Looks like a pretty cool part from what I've seen.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think it'll be a good time to be a Hulk fan. I'll say that. I think we will see the Hulk, the story I'm telling start to have big ramifications for the Marvel U in general.
Jumping back over, in addition to writing Wolverine the X-Men, you of course also write Wolverine's solo book. Now, the amazing thing to me is every time I get answers back to me from an interview or something, or if I see what's coming up in the Wolverine book, you're like, he's really going to be going through something terrible coming up. And I'm just like, I'm reading the book, which I love, and I'm just like, Jason, you torture this guy every one. He just, in the previous arc, found out he had a bunch of kids, and then killed them all without realizing they were his kids.
He killed them first, then found out.
Which was amazing. I mean, and terrible, but amazing. Like, great twist. And now you're reuniting with Ron Garney again for a special arc. And then what's coming up moving forward after that? Because from what I hear, you're going to make things even more difficult for Wolverine.
Sure. Well, I mean,
I guess it wouldn't be very exciting to give him a break, but
exactly.
At some point you do feel bad. But I guess that's you doing your job.
I mean, I've been just last week the omnibus came out collecting 5 years worth of my Wolverine stuff, and I wrote in the intro to that how I've literally been writing Wolverine as long as I've been doing comics.
Yeah.
I mean, the first thing I did was a Marvel talent search contest, the Wolverine story. So, I mean, I think through all that stuff, I've been putting him through the ringer and telling different kinds of stories, and I think I'm still doing that. I mean, Wolverine the X-Men is definitely a new direction for Wolverine. And then the stuff that comes up after the arc that Ron and I are doing, which is a crazy kung fu story, another twist up.
It's straight out of the Manifest Destiny stuff.
Right, it certainly ties into some of that stuff,
Awesome,
And Ron getting to draw like the Fat Cobra and Gorilla Man punching dragons, which is awesome. But coming out of that, leads into another story. I can't really say even what the title of it is or what it's about, but I would just say it's the biggest Wolverine solo story I've ever done.
Wow.
Kind of what a lot of the stuff I've been doing, going back to Weapon X #1 and Wolverine #1 has been building towards.
Right.
So there'll be a big surprise at the heart of that. We'll see some characters from Wolverine's past we haven't seen in a while. So yeah, everything's kind of building towards that right now.
What's the status right now of Wolverine's relationship with Melita, his girlfriend? Because he's relocating, and it becomes long distance.
Sure. Well, that's the question in the next issue of Wolverine.
Oh, okay.
Which is, I forget my number, 17 maybe, 18, whatever the one.
The next issue of Wolverine.
The one that says out this week at the local comic shop.
Yeah.
It's the first part of the arc that Ron and I are doing, and that's the question. Like, Wolverine comes back to San Francisco after heading to Westchester, and he's cleaning up some loose ends, and part of that is his girlfriend that he's had for the last couple of years, and where are they at? So that's a question that'll be answered in those pages. He's also coming back for his money.
Yeah.
He needs money to build a new school. Everybody's kind of surprised in the story that Wolverine has money. Like, where did you get money? He's like over 100 years old.
He's been around a long time.
He's done some dirty deals over the years. He's the guy who's going to have like safety deposit boxes filled with like crinkled bills with dried blood on them, like hidden all over the world. So he comes back to get his money, but of course it's missing, and he's got to go find it, and that leads to shenanigans under the ground.
There's nothing more fun than Wolverine, Kung Fu, and shenanigans.
Right.
That is a winning combo every
time. I could write that all year.
We have one last question to close us out, and that was again from Levi P. Tompkins, who wanted to know, were there any characters Kieran got that you wanted? Which I know you've been asked before.
Yes, there was one. We both wanted Magic.
Oh wow!
From
All
the
right.
New Mutants. So we fought over her a little bit, but ultimately, quite literally punched each other. Kieran
I can't see Kieran coming down on
He's a
top
lot
of that.
stronger than he
Really?
was. Yes, the English are a scrappy
Wiry.
bunch.
Yeah.
But no, he had the better argument for why she should be in Utopia, so
Sure.
I had to give in and all.
It's very big of you. You're the bigger man.
But I got Wolverine. I got the guy with the claws.
That's true. You got Wolverine, and that's really at the end of the day, that's what's good.
Marvel, your universe.